Ever felt like life picked you up like a wave and slammed you underwater before you even knew what was happening? Today we're talking about that kind of change, sudden, unwanted, disorienting, and often with surprising possibilities.
Three thinkers, one goal. Welcome to the podcast to support people in improving collaborative work.
Welcome back. I'm Thomas, and today we're pulling the curtain back on something we all think we're good at, until reality proves otherwise. Dealing with change. Not the change we choose, the one that chooses us.
That's the point.
Hi everyone, I'm Günter. I like rules, I like structure. I like when the world makes sense. So when change hits suddenly without warning, I feel it hard. But I also learned that even in chaos, you can rebuild structure.
I'm Carsten. I usually see change as something exciting, an adventure. But even for me, some waves hit with more force than others. Today we want to dive into why that happens and what helps us to recover.
Let me kick this off. Picture this. You're on a narrow rock at the beach. The tide is rising, but you think you've got the timing. The waves go in, the waves go out, predictable, manageable, until they're not. Suddenly a wave hits you from the side stronger than expected. You're underwater. Confused, disoriented, no idea where the surface is. That moment, that is what unplanned change feels like.
Yeah, I love that metaphor because it nails the emotional truth. When change is forced upon you, your first thought isn't great opportunity. No, it's more like, what the hell has just happened and how do I get out of this?
Exactly. The first instinct is resistance. Not because we are negative people.
No, we're not.
But because change removes something we depend on. Predictability. And predictability gives us safety. And when it disappears, our brain panics, even if the situation isn't dangerous.
Yes. And what makes it worse is this initial shock feels like failure. Why didn't I see this coming? Why can't I handle this better? But actually, the shock is normal. It means you're human, not unprepared.
Yeah, the acceptance. And it's ironic, people like us who accompany others through change feel that shock just as intensely, maybe even more, because we think we should be better at it.
Absolutely. The moment the ground shifts, titles like change agent, guide or coach mean nothing.
Not really.
At the end of the day, every one of us goes underwater from time to time. And that's okay.
Yeah, and here's the interesting part. When we initiate change, it feels energizing. New tools, new ideas, new methods, we love that. We push for it. But when someone else changes the environment, it suddenly feels like, hey, I didn't sign up for this.
Exactly.
Right. For years, we encouraged people to adapt, to stay open, to remain flexible. And we meant it honestly.
Yeah.
But then a change comes along that affects us, not others. And suddenly, we are the ones who want the old world back.
And that's the moment you realize how hard it must have been for all others along. When the rules change without your permission, it feels like your control is taken away. And that loss of control hurts more than the actual change itself.
The question is never, is the change good or bad? The question is, who decided it?
Yes.
Self-chosen change feels empowering. Externally imposed change feels like an attack.
And yet, both types of change lead to learning. The difference is the emotional journey. One feels like a project, and the other feels like survival.
Or punishment. Yeah.
Let's talk about a habit, one of the most underrated pillars of stability. Your kitchen at home is a perfect example. You know exactly where everything is, not because you wrote it down, but because your brain built a map. Now imagine waking up in a new kitchen. Same skill set, same cooking abilities, but totally different layout.
This hits so hard because it's not the task that changes. It's the context. Suddenly your confidence drops and wait, why can't I even find a spoon? The most simple things. And that's exactly how new teams, new tools, new structures feel.
And don't forget the emotional part. Losing routines feels like losing safety. Losing colleagues feels like losing family. Change touches identity, not just workflow.
Yes, and the social part is the most painful. Networks evolve, people drift apart, dynamics shift. It's life, sure, but it still hurts.
Yet, here's the important bit. Identity adapts, slowly, step by step. You open the new kitchen cabinets one after another. You build a new mental map. Eventually it becomes familiar, but you need time and permission to struggle.
Whenever I face a big change, I try not to think in big leaps. If I do, I get overwhelmed. Instead, I focus on small, realistic steps. Small actions create momentum. Momentum creates confidence.
And confidence is exactly what disappears first during sudden change. So rebuilding it through small wins makes sense. Like learning to speak in front of bigger audiences. You start with maybe 10 people, then 20, and eventually 50. And before you know
42?
it, you're on, even that, you're on the stage with 500.
Yeah, the same applies to emotional recovery. You don't go from underwater panic to inner peace in one step. First, you feel the sand under your knees.
Firm ground.
You stand up, you breathe,
And
you look around, yes, you assess. Then you take a first step towards stability.
And something else, it's okay to borrow stability from others, from friends, colleagues, or a community. No one gets through change alone. We always find our fellow travelers, the people who help us stand when we can't yet stand on our own.
yes, community matters. Support matters. Even just knowing someone else understands what you are going through can make the difference between sinking and resurfacing.
There's a saying I love. When the winds of change blow, some build walls, others build windmills. At first, I built walls, trying to preserve what was. But eventually I realized I had to find a place to build a windmill. A place where I can create value.
It's the key to not pretend that you love change. The goal is to find your place within it. Something that makes sense. Something that allows you to bring your best self to the table.
And remember, change doesn't delete what came before. It reshapes it. Your experience, your skills, your values. They all travel with you into the next chapter.
Change can transform what you do into something even more meaningful. But only after you stop fighting the wave and start using the wind.
And hey, even if your actions don't change the entire world, they might change the world for a handful of people, and that's quite enough to make the struggle worthwhile.
Yep, change hits hard, especially when it's without warning. But the first step is always the same. Get your footing back.
Start small. Build new habits. Ask for help if you need it. And give yourself the grace to not have all the answers immediately.
And remember, you don't have to change everything. Sometimes it's enough to find one corner of the new landscape where you can build your windmill.
Let's face change together.
Thank you for listening to our discussion. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast to make sure you don't miss our next episode. Until next time, at 3 Thinkers, 1 Goal. Becoming smarter, 1 episode at a time.
Welcome back. I'm Thomas, and today we're pulling the curtain back on something.
Lady Heskett's Fortescue.
Can make the difference between thinking and resurfacing.
You're
Yeah,
not
Günther.
thinking, you're thinking.
And what are you thinking about, Günther? And confidence is exactly what disappears first. And confidence is exactly what disappears first.
Can make the difference between sinking and resurfacing. No. Again.
It's sinking and resurfacing, yeah.
Yes.
When the winds of change blow, some build walls.
Yeah.